Alright guys, now watch the video and find out what I found out. So, long story short, just a few things that I want to talk about, right? And that's in regards to the 8,000 watt system. Um, so, couple videos down the road, I said that I had a client that had me kind of assemble his bike, right? So, um, some of the parts he ordered, some of the parts I ordered, and he kind of screwed over with the battery. The battery wasn't strong enough for the bike and for his liking. So I told him, look, return the battery because there's a warranty on it. And luckily, he ordered from California, so he was able to have not necessarily custom built battery, but battery to his liking, right? So the battery came to directly to my house, and I was able to hook it up. Now he did have the 5,000 watt QS motor. I think it was a 203 or something like that. Uh, that fluctuates anywhere around 3,000, 5,000. It says it's a operational system for 5,000 watts, right? Um, so I finally was able to finish it up, and he ended up also not necessarily returning the 5,000 watt kit, but selling it. I sold it for him on Lego. That was the application I used locally over here. I sold it for the money that he paid for, and he opted out for 8,000 watt QS 273, if I'm not mistaken. That's considered the 8,000 watt motor. Now, I didn't ask him why he opted out on the 5,000, and we had a discussion yesterday when he was paying at my house, and I said, let me ask you a question. Since we already done with the labor and everything, assembly, why did you opt out from 5,000 to 8,000? His answer was, dude, I want to hit that 72-mile mark. I says, okay, this guy weighs about 160 pounds. It's a featherweight compared to my 255 pounds. And I said, but in reality, if you have a 5,000 watt motor and you also have a 10,000 watt motor, you are not necessarily going to go faster. It's really how many amps you're putting into it, and if you're light and the motor is 5,000 watts, the motor really shouldn't stay or get any warmer than any other motor. So you can accomplish the same speed if you had a 5,000 watts or you had a 8,000 watts. Now his mistake was that he had the battery that only put out 50 amps, and this is continuous. Uh, so it's not like mine, 50 amps continuous and 100 peak. So he really even didn't even have that option. And he was able to do 48 miles an hour on that 50 amp controller or battery, because his controller is 100 amp. So we've used the original control that he had, which was 100 amps, and we also have used the better battery, right? So this battery is a 150 amp continuous, and I think 250 peak. So long story short, you guys are gonna ask me, well, what's the top speed that you can hit right now? And right now he can hit 60. Okay. There is it's funny because the 8,000 watt hits 60, and I guarantee you that a lighter person than me on my bike will also hit the 60 miles an hour mark. I mean, right now I'm able to hit 55 with no wind resistance. So probably in the summer when it's nice and hot and there's no wind, going around. Um, but again, my motor stays warm, where 8,000 watt motor will stay cool, if not cold. Not freezing cold, but cool. So pretty much that's the difference, and that's when the gear ratio comes in very handy, because if you are on a tap tune on your bike with good quality parts, um, you hit that. Okay, so he improved 13 miles, over what he had previously. But if you were able to, let's say, change the rear sprocket and the front sprocket, you'll be able to reach 80 miles an hour, as we discussed in earlier videos. So was it worth it? You know what, I see lots of YouTubers that build the enduro bike. It's just, look, the money wise, the difference between the 5000 system QS and the 8000 system QS in weight is huge. In performance, not really. You can still program it, you can still tweak it, you can still do whatever you need to do, especially with the Saviton controller, which he's using with. And I know that QS system you can use with a different controller regardless. But it's funny because I'm glad right now, because I was trying to go over to 8,000 or 12,000 watt system, and too many people are saying like the weight of the motor, the 8,000, the 12,000, the 16,000, is just ridiculous compared to 5,000 watt motor. And I get really good results with my 5,000 watt motor. And when I did my distance test, it functioned and it worked properly, and it was warm, if not necessarily hot, but it was in between hot and warm. There's a video on that too also, so if you want to check it out. But I've saved so much money on that motor, because again, it's a non-brand motor, okay, when it comes to mine, and it's not QS motor. It's just from China, and it works great. I'm looking at it this way: a motor is a motor as long as brushless, right? So let's say you have, let's say a Tesla and some other quality car. Let's just pick a plug-in Toyota hybrid and a plug-in car or electric car. Look, all this is at the end of the time is, if you have the same capacity of discharge and battery placement, you're only paying for the name. So QS is only the name. So it's like buying a cheapest model of Tesla versus the most expensive one. Yeah, and let's say you have the same battery in the most expensive one as if you have the cheapest one. Still, the car is going to perform the same way. It's just might have better tires, it might look better, it might have better interior and exterior details, that kind of thing. Same thing with the motor. A non-brand motor is wired up in a bunch of wires and magnets, and so are brand motors like QS or anything like that. So I think everybody should go with non-brand, and if you need to replace it, it's not gonna cost you arm and a leg. I can literally replace my motor for $200 from China, and I can replace my controller for $100 from China. So again, $300, and I have major components replaced for $300 in my bike. I can replace my frame for $150 plus shipping 100. It's $250. Okay, so for me everything is replaceable. I'm I'm just hoping that nothing is gonna break down during the summer, right? That's why I'm being so anal about the build right now, where I want perfect bike, because I don't want to lose the season for, let's say, something goes bad and I have to wait for the delivery. I mean, I can opt out for express shipping, which is going to cost me, arm and a leg from China. But if it is what it is, right? And here comes my other observation on YouTube, right? I see these gorgeous bikes built, and I was watching this one YouTuber. He has the QS 273, right? The 8,000 watt system, which cost him way over 600. He doesn't even say how much it cost him. And then he has a battery, a 40 amp battery, right? 150 amp discharge on it, right? A 40 amp hour battery, which is not big because I got a 50, but 40 is better than 20 or 30, right? But let's say I got a 50, right? So I can't understand, what distance or what mileage he can achieve with that system, right? Here's the thing: he bought it from the most expensive spot, which is Amazon Prime, and he said this battery cost him $1,400. And he went through a hoop where he contacted the seller, the supplier, and says, look, let's do it this way, I'm going to pay you with PayPal. He did. So he said if I wouldn't have done that, or he didn't do that, it would have cost him $1,800. So Panasonic, Sony, Tesla, whatever battery cells they're using, right? And it doesn't say, because I saw the package, it doesn't say what cells he's been using or update the manufacturer used. Usually it says, it will say Panasonic, it will say Sony, it will say Samsung battery, Sanyo, whatever, Tesla, whatever it is, right? It doesn't say anything. But let's say he has a known brand cells installed in there at 40 amp hours, but $1,400. That's not where my problem is, but I do have an issue with that, because remember, mine is was it 1080, 50 amp hours, and it's a leaf cell, right? It's 3 and change. It's a leaf shape, so it's not a bunch of like 460 cells in there. So if I need to service, I just service one cell, which is one big rectangle, right? So let's forget about that he paid so much for the battery, $1,400, right? And it's a nice Enduro. It's not an Enduro. It's a Stealth Bomber, the heavy frame, white, and the side panels are black. He kind of like used a plastic wrap, carbon fiber looking thing, right? The biggest thing that ticks me off about his build, right? And it's a simple build because it's got no signals, it's got no brake lights, it's got no tail light, so it doesn't have a step down from 72 volt to 12 volt. No wires whatsoever, just that. And he mentioned that the battery had very thin wires, and TX60, right? Or XT60, right? So I'm like, kind of small, because you're pushing 150 amps and you have XT60. That means that you could only push 60 amps through that plug. You would literally have to use TX or XT90. That would push out 90 amps, so you're closer to better. And I think their wire that they use, it's 8 gauge, not 10 gauge. Okay, so there's a problem. There's a loss of power in his system, but that doesn't tick me off. That ticks him off, right? So in regards to that, the biggest issue that I have with his build, not that I don't like it, I love it, is that he has the zoom forks. He has literally zoom forks in the front. These are like the worst forks you can get for the bike. If, let's say, you are doing, like he claims, 76 miles an hour or 72, whatever it is, 72. Do you see what I'm saying? You're going 72 miles an hour, but you totally threw out the concept of safety, right? He does have, you know, off-road motorcycle helmet and gloves and that, but the equipment is also a failure. You guys need to remember that if your equipment fails, you're going to kill yourself doing 70 miles an hour and your forks disappear and you land forward, you know, with your face on the asphalt. You know what I mean? So it's a big no-no. He could have afforded the KKE that I have forks or D&M forks. Okay, much better. They're very expensive. Like KKE, that's what it is. Yeah, they're decent. I don't have a problem with them. So they very affordable, very good quality for me, to me. And I'm not a fancy guy. I don't need a Lambo, Ferrari, or Corvette convertible to ride around to show off. That's just not me. I'm old, could care less. Other people, when they do it, that's totally fine. I, you know, more power to them, I can say, right? That's your prerogative. But next thing that is awkward, and also in regards of safety, is he has no pedals. Okay, he has the crankshaft, but he has no pedals installed. He's got just the nuts and bolts. That's it. That's all he has. He has nothing else. And so he puts his feet pretty much on those two little rods that come out from the center shaft. I mean, God forbid you jump in a air or something like that and your foot comes off. It will either go under the bike or go into spokes or God knows what, and another accident happening. So, and he's shot a few videos like that for quite some time. That only tells me that he's riding the bike just like that. I would temporarily just install the pedals, short pedals, not necessarily, you know, long pedals, short pedals, and see what's up. If not, just go to welding shop or go to a store and get yourself a welding machine and weld two I guess pegs. You know, no big deal. You can get regular pegs from whatever bicycle, not necessarily a bike. So that's definitely a no-go. Okay, so that's me. The moral to the story is, guys, don't spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on equipment like battery, which is important, so you should. Like anything else, a motor, battery, everything, and then ignore your forks. That's not what you want to do. You don't want to ignore your forks. It's all about safety. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's the reality, and you really don't want to put that crazy amount, you know, for this. Everything should be weighted out, right? So you should have a decent quality motor. Okay, you should have a decent quality battery. You should have a decent quality suspension, which you have D&M. You should have decent quality tires, wheels, that will go with the weight of the bike, which regular 26-inch bicycle tires or 20 or 24, it's not suitable. It's a heavy bike, so you got to do motorcycle tires and rims, right? So if you have everything at, not necessarily bare minimum, because you don't really want to do it, but if you have everything that works in sequence and it works properly, that's the way it's supposed to be. It's a perfect build. But you can't pay $1,000 for the motor and the controller, $1,400 for the battery, okay, and then $120 for the forks. It's just retarded. It really is. It doesn't make any sense. But again, that's my personal opinion, and I hope everybody understands when they building their bike that there's certain requirement for the weight and the way the bike performs with cheap parts and with extremely fancy and expensive. and regular parts that will work with pretty much that weight bike. Um, so that's pretty much what I wanted to address. That it's kind of, it defeats the point, guys, when you build a perfect bike and you go cheap at the last step, whether it's your handlebars, whether it's your tires, or a battery. You know, you can go cheap on the battery. That's the whole thing. Because if you go cheap on the battery, you're not gonna get the performance. Um, I am very happy with my battery. I can say that. So I am very happy with my wheels. I am very happy with my tires. I am happy with my controller because that's what my battery can handle. I am very happy with my speed, my performance, my bike, the way it operates, how reliable it is. So I'm extremely happy with overall the entire project. But I don't see and I don't understand why would people spend so much money on the motor and the battery, and yet they will go so cheap on other components, like not soldering the wires, not hot gluing the wires from a throttle and from which is your speed. If either one of the wires, the signal wire, comes off from the other wire, you will have a wide open throttle. Your bike is going to be a runaway. So you don't want a 150, 180 pound bike to run away from you. But it is what it is. That's how I look at it. All right, folks. So hopefully you share this. You enjoy the video. Hopefully you guys are safe. The things that happen right now in New York City with the police department and police officers being shot left and right and killed, it's not even funny. But on the other note, I hope you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, stay tuned. I haven't done a video in a while, so this was a great opportunity to talk about what I have observed with other people's builds. And hopefully you guys are safe and waiting for the season to come around back. Take care. Bye.